I definitely wear this jumper way too much, but to be honest, I don't really care because I like it. Hi guys, welcome back to my channel. So today's video is going to be my top, well actually no, it's not going to be top 10. It's just going to be my top favourite drugstore bronzers slash contour products. Anything that you use to kind of define your cheekbones, warm up your face. Well, that's what a bronzer and contour is. I'm sure you know what that is if you're watching this video. I think the lowest one is literally like £4. So if you guys are on a budget and you're looking for a new bronzer or a new contour product and you don't really know what to use, then hopefully this will help you, because I've tried a fair few bronzers and contour powders from the drugstore, and so I've just kind of rounded up all of my favourites. So hopefully this helps. If you guys like these type of videos where I do like my top products from the drugstore or whatever, and you want me to do others, then let me know what else you want to see down below, and also make sure to give this video a big thumbs up. That would really help me out. I think giving thumbs up like does some positive stuff for your videos. So if you guys give thumbs up, that would be great. Wow, I'm such a good YouTuber. Okay, so the first ones that I'm going to talk about, I'm going to talk about contour products, because there's definitely less contour products in this video than actual bronzers. And if you didn't already know the difference, a contour powder is usually a cooler toned powder, which is using for kind of sculpting out the hollows of your cheekbones, or you know, the sides of your nose, to kind of create a shadow, whereas a bronzer is more warm toned and you kind of use it to make your face look more kind of warm and healthy and just a bit more bronzed, I guess. So I normally just use a bit of contour in the hollows of my cheeks, and then I use bronzer also kind of on the hollows of my cheeks, over the top of it but slightly above, and then also around my hairline. I know that sometimes I go a little bit crazy with my bronzer, but that's fine. You don't have to take my advice. Something really frustrating is my favourite contour product from the drugstore is being discontinued slash has been discontinued, and it was the Bleach London Contour Nuity powder in the shade Bones 4. I think the Bleach London makeup is either being discontinued or being revamped, but this particular product you can no longer get in the Superdrug, on the Superdrug website. They've all gone. Some people have told me that they have managed to spot these kind of like around and about town. They do lots of other shades as well, but just for my skin tone personally, when I am like my normal kind of pale skin tone, this was my favourite contour powder. If you are pale like me and you're looking for a good one and you happen to see this around anywhere, I would recommend getting it, but I'm not gonna talk about this on my channel anymore after this video. There's no point in me recommending stuff that's been discontinued, so that's a sad time. For people asking why I don't use it anymore, that is why. The main thing that I've been using recently to kind of replace that is the Imogenation and Revolution Highlight to the Moon palette. It's called Highlight to the Moon, but it's not a highlighter palette, it's like a contour and highlighter palette, and these two shades in the middle are very, very similar to each other, but they're both like quite nice cool toned contour shades. So I will normally just take one of these and use this on the hollows of my cheeks. I think this whole palette is like £10. You get 3 highlighters, 3 contours, and the 3 like face powders as well. But yeah, these two are probably like the best contour shades that I found that are similar to the Bleach London one. Although obviously if you are just looking for one powder, then it is a bit frustrating to like have a big palette. But I swear drugstore brands don't really do like individual contour powders. They definitely lack them anyway. And if I have tried like a contour powder that's cool tone and from the drugstore, I don't like it enough to feature it in this video, so maybe I should make one. And another one that I used to love, which is also, I think, been discontinued, correct me if I'm wrong, is the Revlon Sculpt and Highlight Contour Kit. I loved the contour shade in this, and also the bronzer shade. So again, if you manage to get this in your country or in your city, or you see this out and about in town, then I really like this palette as well. It's a little bit more like compact and small. And then the final kind of contour palette that I'm going to talk about before I move on to the individual bronzers and stuff is the Revolution Pro 4K Bronzer palette in Cool. This is called Cool, however, I feel like it's quite warm. This is warm enough for me anyway, and you've probably again seen me use this in a couple of videos. I use this shade and this shade mixed together, and I kind of just use it to contour and bronze, because it's not super warm, but it's also not, I wouldn't say it's particularly cool toned. This one is a little bit, but this one's also got a bit of shimmer in it, so I kind of just mix these two together. Honestly, recently I haven't really been contouring as such. I've just been using my bronzer like kind of all over my face. I'm just going to quickly swatch these for you guys. So the Bleach London one is that one there. As you can see, it's very pale and very cool toned. I'm going to take this one from the Imogenation palette. It's kind of hard to see them, but as you can see, those two are pretty similar. This one's just a bit more warm, I think. Then the Revlon one. That's the Revlon one right there. And then the Revolution one, I'm just going to swatch these two shades, which are the ones that I use. So on my hand, they all look pretty similar, to be honest. But those are the contour shades that I would recommend. Also, I'm sorry if in this video I'm not like recommending other shades for like different skin tones. Obviously, just because I buy products that match my skin tone, and I wouldn't buy like I can't really review like a darker contour shade because it wouldn't work on my skin tone, if that makes sense. However, in Imogen's palette, she does have this darker shade here, which is also cool toned. And I know that the Bleach London one did lots of different shades, but who knows, I think they've been discontinued. So moving on to bronzers. I've got a lot of bronzers. I've actually got a couple of new discoveries. Some of these products are going to be like, yes, Soph, we know you've spoken about this like 500 times on your channel, but some of these are new. I'm just going to go through the old classics. I think this is probably the cheapest in this video. This is the CYO Bronzing Powder When the Sun Don't Shine in Fair. Again, they do different shades of this. It does look very orange and very scary in the pan, but when you actually put this on, it's a really sheer coverage, so it doesn't go on super dark, which I absolutely love in a bronzer. So as you can see, there's a swatch of that there. It barely kind of shows up. And so if you're scared that this is just going to be like orange on your face, it is a very warm toned bronzer, but it's just very kind of blendable and very sheer and buildable, which is what I absolutely love about it. It also used to smell really nice, but now that I've had it for like a year, it's kind of lost its smell, which is a shame, but to be honest, I don't really care because I really like it as a bronzer. It blends really nicely. This one is matte with the tiniest bit of like a glow to it. There's no shimmer in this whatsoever, but it's got a tiny bit of sheen. I don't really think you can even see it on my hand, but it's not like 100% matte, if that makes sense. It's like 95% matte, but I really like this bronzer. It's super affordable. You can get this from Boots. Then one that I just have to mention, it's easier to get your hands on if you're in the US, but if you are in the UK, I think you can now get this on Amazon. This is probably my second favourite bronzer of all time. This is the Physicians Formula Butter Bronzer. I just have the original shade because I think they now have like a light one and they've got a dark one or something. The smell of this is incredible. Like, if I just compare this to the CYO one, you can see the kind of colour similarities. They are pretty similar to each other. The CYO one is just a tiny bit more orangey. The Physicians Formula one is just the perfect bronzer. Again, it's not fully matte. It's got a tiny bit of like glow to it, but it's not shimmery at all. I don't really know how to explain it. The Physicians Formula one is a bit more cool toned, but I freaking love this bronzer. It's so nice. It's a bit more on like the pricey side. I think in America it was maybe like $15, and I think on Amazon maybe it's around £15. But I know that I do have American viewers, and also you can get Physicians Formula in some European countries as well. So if you can get your hands on this and you haven't tried it, I would highly recommend it. The only thing is the packaging is a bit chunky because it comes with like, it has a mirror underneath. It did come with a sponge, which was like the dumbest thing ever, because who's going to put a powder bronzer on with a sponge? Like, no. Another one which I really like, I've just realised that none of these bronzers are fully matte. They all have the tiniest bit of sheen in them, which I guess is what I go for in a bronzer. I don't like full-on shimmer, but I like it to just make me look glowy and healthy, if that makes sense. This one is by L'Oreal, and it's the Glam Bronze. I think, oh, I have the shade 101 Blonde Harmony. They do have a few different shades of this, I believe. This one has got like, I don't even know. That's supposed to be a highlighter, but it doesn't highlight anything. But the actual bronzer itself in this is so nice. Again, it flips up and it's got a mirror, and then it's also got a little brush, which I've never used because it's like really thin, like but it's just such a nice smooth texture. To be fair, actually, I can see the tiniest little bit of shimmer particles in this one. So maybe it's a bit more sheeny than the others, but to be honest, on your face, it doesn't look shimmery at all. So that is the L'Oreal one there. It's a little bit darker and a little bit more warm than the others, I would say. Or it's got more of a kind of red undertone, whereas the Physicians Formula one is a bit more kind of in between warm and cool. The next one is actually a little palette, which I recently discovered. You can get this from Superdrug. It's by the brand Flower Beauty. I love this palette. This is what I've got on my face today. I've also got a bit of Imogen's contour powder on my cheeks, but then my actual bronzer is from this palette. My blush and my highlighter are all from this palette. I love it. So it's the Flower Beauty Lift and Sculpt Contouring Palette in light to medium. I think they have another shade as well, which is darker. But the formula of these are so smooth and it's just gorgeous. And again, it's not like 100% matte. I don't really know if you can see on my face, but it's got like the tiniest bit of like glow to it. The highlighter in this palette, oh my god, is also stunning. The blush isn't my favourite because I'd rather a bit more peachy one, but for travelling and stuff, it's such a good palette. Again, like all of the textures of these bronzers are just so smooth and they blend so nicely, which is why I love all of them. So that is that bronzer there. They all look pretty similar on my hand, to be honest. This one's definitely got more of a kind of like brownie undertone rather than like a super orangey undertone. I just love it. Like, I love this palette so much. I've been using it a lot over the past few days. Okay, I've got two more that I want to speak about. The first, well, the second to last one is technically high street rather than drugstore. This one is a little bit more pricey, but it's still not like high-end prices. It's kind of like between drugstore and high-end. This is the Topshop Beauty matte bronzing powder, and I have the shade called Mohawk. I have no idea why it's called that. The packaging is really nice. It's like magnetic packaging. It has a nice size mirror in there as well, and this one is probably the most matte out of all of them, and again, it's just such a nice texture. It's really sheer and buildable, which is just what I really love to go for. I think because I used to, in the past, just think that all bronzers were too dark, too muddy looking, but it's because they were just too pigmented for me. Whereas when you find a nice sheer bronzer that's buildable, I find them just so much easier to work with. So if I just swatch this one on my hand, oh, I need a bit more because it's like really quite sheer. So that is that one there, and I just love how buildable it is. It's really, really smooth and like finely milled. It's just a really nice bronzer, and again, I think they do this in quite a few different shades. Oh, I've just realised that I've actually got two more. I'm really sorry. Okay, so these two are technically, again, not drugstore, so if you're not interested in anything that's over £10, feel free to skip this. However, the one that I'm going to talk about in a second, I always see on offer for like £11 or like £10.90. So one of them is by the Body Shop. This is the Body Shop Honey Bronzing Powder. I have the shade 01. This only works for me when I'm at my very fairest, but again, they do quite a few different shades of this. This one is fully matte, I would say. This is a matte bronzer, but this one is definitely quite cool toned, so this works pretty well as a contour, and it's very slim, like slender packaging, and it's got a mirror. I really like this. If you are really pale and you're looking for a really pale bronzer, this one is probably the lightest one that I own. Where am I going to swatch this? Is it even going to show up? I don't know. So it's that one there on my hand. Hopefully you can see that. But it's just very light. Again, it's very blendable, very smooth, very kind of like buildable. But this one is completely matte. So technically I lied at the start of this video, but it's because I forgot that I was putting this in here. So the final ones that I'm going to mention are both pretty much the same. They're both by Kiko. This is probably my favourite bronzer of all time. If anyone from Kiko is watching this video, please, please make these line of bronzers permanent, because this one was from the Fall 2.0 collection. All the writing is rubbed off the back because I've used it so much. But these Kiko kind of marbly bronzers, I've got another one from the Gold Waves collection. They are so good and so nice, and I've used this so much. And as you can see, like, yeah, sure, the dome has gone down a little bit, but I've still got so much product left. They're so buildable. They have a little bit of sheen in them. They make you look super healthy. They're such a good bronzer shade. And again, I think they do them in like 3 different shades maybe. They smell like chocolate. I'm obsessed with the smell of these, and they're both pretty much the same thing. I've got 2 of them. The Gold Waves one is in the shade Sun Celebration Honey. This one, I don't even know what shade it's in, but I think it's the lightest one. But Kiko now have a new summer collection, which has got one of these kind of marbled bronzers in. They're all pretty much the same, but it's like £22. However, at the end of their limited edition collections, they often go on sale for like half price. And so quite a few times on the website, I've seen these kind of marbly bronzers on sale for £11. So just a little heads up, if you do happen to come across this bronzer or similar from Kiko, I love them. They're probably my favourite bronzers of all time. Like, I can't rave about these enough. So Kiko, please come out with a permanent line of these marbly bronzers because they're so freaking good. Oh, okay, I forgot to swatch them. Wait, let me just show you my hand up until now. So these are all of the bronzers that I've just spoken about, minus the Kiko ones. They all look very similar on my hand again, but hopefully you can see the differences. So that is the Kiko one down here. It's just such a nice warm tone, and it just makes you look so like healthy and glowing, and yeah, I've said that enough times. Okay, so I think that is it for this video. I spoke a lot about bronzers. I'm not going to say that word anymore because it sounds really weird to me now. But I hope it was helpful. And if you guys have any recommendations, please let me know down below because I love hearing recommendations. I'm just going to get a question of the day. If you guys have any questions for me about anything, let me know down below with the hashtag question of the day, and I always answer one at the end of my videos. So today's question comes from Nikita Lee Owen, and she said, who is your target audience and who do you try and be relatable to? I see lots of young teens on your comments. Does that bother you since you're in your 20s? That's a very interesting question. To be honest, I would say that my target audience is between about the ages of like, I don't know. In my videos, I feel like I'm speaking to people that are like, maybe like 16 and older. But then I know that a lot of younger people do watch my videos, so I don't know. I think the people that watch my videos are probably from between about the ages of 12 to like, I get people watching my videos that are like in their 40s, so like there's definitely a big range. But to be honest, I don't really like try and target a particular age. I used to like never swear or do anything inappropriate in my videos, but now I'm just trying to like be myself a bit more. I mean, to be honest, in real life I definitely swear a lot more than I do on camera, just in case like people are watching with like younger children, or if you are a younger child that's watching this. Yeah, I would say at the moment like I don't really kind of act a specific way to be relatable to a certain audience. I just kind of do what I do and hope that people find it entertaining. I don't really know if that makes any sense, but yeah, to be honest, when I'm filming, I don't really think that I'm putting it out to a specific age, if that makes sense. I just kind of make a video. So I really hope you guys enjoyed this video. If you did, please make sure to remember to give it a big thumbs up. Also, if you aren't already subscribed, I would love to have you, and I will see you guys in my next video. Bye!